Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the SUVs that are quietly becoming worthless. Number 15, Lincoln Navigator. The Lincoln Navigator is a full-size luxury icon that is currently struggling with a staggering depreciation rate that is quietly stripping away its status as a stable investment. While the vehicle remains a flagship for the American luxury market, its financial trajectory is alarming for original owners who see their equity vanish faster than almost any other vehicle in the segment. In the current 2026 market, a brand new Navigator often commands a price tag of nearly $100,000 or more depending on the trim and options. However, data indicates that these vehicles lose roughly 55% of their original value within the first 5 years of ownership. This means a buyer spending six figures today could see their assets worth plummet to approximately $40,000 in a relatively short window. The reliability of the Lincoln Navigator has also become a focal point for those watching its value slide into the abyss. While the powertrain is robust, the sheer complexity of its modern electronics and air suspension systems often leads to expensive out-of-warranty repairs that scare off second-hand buyers. Furthermore, as the industry shifts toward more efficient powertrains and electric alternatives, the thirsty twin-turbo V6 in the Navigator is becoming less desirable to the average consumer. For a vehicle that sits at the top of the Lincoln lineup, the reality of losing tens of thousands of dollars in value annually is turning this luxury powerhouse into a financial black hole for anyone who isn't leasing. Number 14, Cadillac Escalade. The Cadillac Escalade has long been the gold standard for American road presence, but in 2026 it is facing a harsh reality where its massive price tag no longer guarantees a safe return on investment. With top-tier models like the V-Series pushing past $170,000, the initial buy-in is higher than ever, yet the depreciation curves are becoming increasingly steep. While it remains a high-demand vehicle in the luxury world, the influx of high-tech competitors and the rise of Cadillac's own electric IQ line are making internal combustion models feel like yesterday's news. Reliability concerns are also starting to weigh down the Escalade's long-term worth, particularly regarding its complex infotainment and driver assistance technologies. Maintenance on a vehicle of this scale is never cheap, but when software glitches and mechanical issues begin to surface after the warranty period, the cost to keep an Escalade on the road can easily reach several $1,000s per visit. Despite its prestigious nameplate, the 2026 Escalade is proving that even the most famous SUVs aren't immune to the forces of a changing economy that is beginning to view these oversized machines as inefficient relics. Number 13, Buick Enclave. The Buick Enclave is a mid-range luxury SUV that often flies under the radar, but its quiet descent into worthlessness is hard to ignore for anyone looking at the financial numbers. In 2026, a well-equipped Enclave can easily cost $50,000, yet it suffers from one of the highest depreciation rates in the General Motors family. Within just 3 years, many owners find that their Enclave is worth barely $30,000, a drop that reflects the vehicle's struggle to maintain a premium identity in a crowded market. From a reliability standpoint, the Enclave has been plagued by inconsistent rankings that further erode its value. Issues with the transmission and cooling systems have been noted in various model years, creating a reputation for being a high-maintenance vehicle once it hits the 60,000-mile mark. For a savvy shopper in 2026, the prospect of buying a used Buick that may require $5,000 in mechanical work is a non-starter. This lack of confidence in the vehicle's longevity means that dealerships are often unwilling to offer competitive trade-in values, leaving owners stuck with an aging asset that is losing value by the day while they continue to pay off an original loan that far exceeds the car's current worth. Number 12, Audi Q7. The Audi Q7 represents German engineering at its finest, but that precision comes with a financial downside that is becoming impossible to ignore in 2026. A new Q7 typically carries a price tag in the neighborhood of $70,000, but the moment it leaves the dealership, its value begins a downward spiral that rarely levels off. European luxury SUVs are notorious for their steep depreciation, and the Q7 is leading the charge as maintenance costs soar and technology ages. By the time the vehicle is 5 years old, it is often worth less than 30% of its original sticker price, a reality that makes it a disposable luxury item for many high-net-worth individuals who prefer to lease rather than own. Reliability is the primary culprit behind the Audi Q7's rapidly declining value. While the driving dynamics are superb, the cost of repairing the complex Quattro system or the sophisticated engine components is enough to make any second-hand owner wince. In 2026, a simple sensor failure or a suspension issue can result in a bill for $3,000 or more. Because the out-of-warranty crowd is terrified of these potential costs, the demand for older Q7s is remarkably low. This lack of a robust secondary market ensures that the vehicle becomes nearly worthless once the factory protection expires, leaving original owners holding an expensive piece of machinery that is more a liability than an asset. Number 11. Chevrolet Traverse. The Chevrolet Traverse is a staple for American families, but in 2026, it is earning a reputation for being a vehicle that loses value almost as fast as it gains mileage. While a new Traverse might seem like a bargain at $45,000, its resale value often drops by more than half in just 4 years. This aggressive depreciation is driven by the sheer volume of these vehicles on the market, particularly from rental fleets and corporate leases. When the market is flooded with used Traverses, the price for a private seller is driven down to the floor, making it nearly impossible to recoup a significant portion of the original investment. Beyond the market saturation, the Traverse faces reliability hurdles that further damage its long-term financial prospects. Owners frequently report issues with the shifting quality and power steering components, which can be costly to address once the bumper-to-bumper warranty has ended. In the eyes of many 2026 buyers, a used Chevy SUV is a gamble that isn't worth taking unless the price is exceptionally low. For families who bought into the Traverse for its practicality, the ultimate cost of ownership is often far higher than they anticipated due to this lack of residual value. Number 10. Infiniti QX80. The Infiniti QX80 is a massive SUV that is currently suffering through a period of extreme financial irrelevance. In 2026, this vehicle can easily retail for over $80,000, but it holds its value with the grace of a lead balloon. Current data suggests that the QX80 loses a staggering 69% of its value after 5 years, leaving owners with an asset worth less than $25,000. This is one of the most aggressive depreciation rates in the entire automotive industry, fueled largely by the fact that the platform has aged significantly compared to modern rivals. Reliability is another major factor contributing to the QX80's demise in value. While the V8 engine is relatively simple compared to turbocharged competitors, the repair costs for Infiniti's luxury components remain sky-high. When a 10-year-old QX80 needs a major service, the cost can often exceed the entire value of the car. In 2026, buyers are looking for efficiency and high-tech integration, two areas where an aging QX80 struggles to compete. This creates a situation where the only way to move a used QX80 is to slash the price to a fraction of its original cost, making it a worthless proposition for anyone who paid full price for a new one only a few years ago. Number 9. Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Jeep Grand Cherokee is a legendary nameplate, but the 2026 market is proving that even icons can become financial burdens. While a high-end Grand Cherokee can cost upwards of $65,000 today, the resale market is increasingly unkind to these SUVs. The primary issue is a perceived and often documented lack of long-term reliability. Jeep has struggled with electrical gremlins and air suspension failures for years, and as these vehicles age, the cost of keeping them on the road becomes prohibitive. A used buyer in 2026 is often wary of a Grand Cherokee with 50,000 miles, knowing that a single major repair could cost $4,000 or more, which drives the resale price straight into the ground. Furthermore, the introduction of the 4xe hybrid models has added a layer of complexity that is making the secondary market nervous. Buyers are uncertain about the long-term health of these hybrid batteries and the intricate systems that manage them, leading to even steeper depreciation for the electrified versions. For an owner who took out a long-term loan, they may find themselves underwater almost immediately, paying for a vehicle that is quietly becoming worthless in the eyes of professional appraisers. Number 8. Nissan Murano. The Nissan Murano has long been a stylish entry in the crossover segment, but in 2026, its financial performance is anything but attractive. A new Murano can carry a price tag of $40,000, but its value retention is among the worst in its class. This vehicle is quietly becoming worthless because it occupies a strange middle ground in the market. It's not a true luxury vehicle, yet it's priced higher than many more practical alternatives. This lack of a clear identity means that on the used market, demand is tepid at best. By the time a Murano is 5 years old, it is often worth less than $18,000, representing a massive loss for the original owner. Reliability issues, specifically regarding Nissan's history with continuously variable transmissions, CVTs, continue to haunt the Murano's reputation. Even as the company has made improvements, the fear factor remains a major hurdle for used car buyers in 2026. No one wants to spend $15,000 on a used SUV only to face a $5,000 transmission replacement 6 months later. This reputational damage acts as a ceiling for the vehicle's resale value, ensuring it remains at the bottom of the charts. For the consumer, this means the Murano is a vehicle you buy to drive into the ground, as trying to sell it or trade it in after a few years will likely result in a painful financial wake-up call. Number 7. Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer was intended to be a high-end luxury contender, but in 2026 it is quickly becoming a cautionary tale regarding depreciation. With price tags that can easily soar past $100,000, the Grand Wagoneer is one of the most expensive vehicles in the Stellantis lineup. However, its value is evaporating at an alarming rate. Because it is a relatively new entry into the ultra-luxury full-size segment, it lacks the established prestige of competitors like the Range Rover or Escalade. This lack of brand equity means that on the secondary market, the Grand Wagoneer is seen as an overpriced experiment, causing its value to tank by tens of thousands of dollars in the first year alone. Mechanical reliability has also been a sore spot for the Grand Wagoneer, with early owners reporting a variety of software bugs and quality control issues. In 2026, a vehicle that costs 6 figures is expected to be flawless, and when it isn't, the market reacts swiftly and harshly. The cost of maintaining such a massive and complex vehicle is astronomical, and once it is out of warranty, very few buyers are willing to take the risk. For many owners, the realization that their $100,000 SUV is now worth $50,000 is a bitter pill to swallow, making the Grand Wagoneer a prime example of a vehicle becoming worthless in record time. Number 6. Jaguar F-Pace. The Jaguar F-Pace is a striking piece of British engineering, but in 2026, it is struggling to escape a reputation for being a financial liability that loses value at an eye-watering pace. While a brand new model currently carries a price tag starting around $78,000, the secondary market treats these vehicles with extreme caution. Data shows that the F-Pace can lose more than 50% of its original worth in just the first 24 months of ownership. This means an owner who pays full sticker price today could see their assets' market value crater to roughly $37,000 by next year. Reliability remains the primary anchor dragging down the F-Pace's worth. Historically, Jaguar has been plagued by complex electrical failures and cooling system issues that are notoriously expensive to fix once the factory warranty expires. In 2026, a simple sensor malfunction or a suspension component replacement can easily result in a bill exceeding $3,000. Because the used car market is increasingly dominated by shoppers looking for long-term stability, the F-Pace has become a lease-only proposition. Those who choose to purchase find themselves holding a vehicle that is quietly becoming worthless, because no sensible second-hand buyer is willing to inherit the high-cost maintenance risks associated with the Jaguar brand. Number 5. Dodge Hornet. The Dodge Hornet arrived with the promise of bringing Italian-inspired performance to the American compact segment, but in 2026, it is quickly becoming one of the most significant depreciation disasters on the road. While the entry-level GT starts with a price tag of around $30,000, the high-end plug-in hybrid RT Plus models can climb toward $47,000. Despite these numbers, the Hornet is suffering from a massive lack of demand on the secondary market. Buyers are finding that their investment is worth barely half of what they paid after just a few years of driving. Reliability concerns have also hampered the Hornet's financial standing. As a relatively new platform shared with European cousins, the 2026 market is seeing reports of software glitches and jerky transitions in the hybrid powertrain that make long-term ownership feel like a gamble. When a small SUV comes with a high repair probability for its complex battery cooling systems or turbocharged engine, its resale value inevitably tanks. For a vehicle marketed under a brand known for muscle and simplicity, the Hornet's intricate and sometimes temperamental nature is scaring off traditional Dodge fans. Consequently, owners are left with a vehicle that is quietly becoming worthless as it fails to establish a foothold in a fiercely competitive market that values consistency over novelty. Number 4. Alfa Romeo Tonale. The Alfa Romeo Tonale is a stunning Italian crossover that is unfortunately following in the footsteps of its predecessors when it comes to financial ruin. In 2026, a new Tonale retails for roughly $45,000, but its residual value is among the lowest in the luxury compact class. Alfa Romeo has never been able to shake its reputation for poor reliability and high repair costs, and the Tonale is no exception. While it is a plug-in hybrid designed for the modern era, the complexity of its drivetrain is a major red flag for used car buyers who don't want to deal with specialized Italian mechanics and expensive parts. By the time a Tonale is 3 years old, its value has often been slashed by nearly 50%. In 2026, the used market is flooded with leased Tonales that dealerships struggle to sell, further driving down the price for private owners. The Alfa tax, the high cost of keeping the car in top shape, means that even a cheap used Tonale is seen as a liability rather than a bargain. For the original purchaser, the experience is one of watching thousands of dollars evaporate every year, turning what should have been a passionate purchase into a financial nightmare as the car quietly becomes worthless on the open market. Number 3. Nissan Armada. The Nissan Armada is a rugged, old-school SUV that is finding itself increasingly out of place in 2026. With a starting price of nearly $60,000, it's an expensive vehicle to buy, but a very difficult one to sell. The Armada's biggest problem is its atrocious fuel economy and an aging platform that feels decades behind its competitors. As fuel prices remain a concern for American drivers, a massive V8 SUV that gets poor gas mileage is a tough sell on the used market. This lack of demand causes the Armada's value to drop like a rock. Reliability isn't necessarily the Armada's biggest issue, as its powertrain is relatively proven, but the cost of ownership in 2026 is what kills its value. Between high insurance premiums, massive fuel bills, and the cost of maintaining such a heavy vehicle, the hidden costs are enormous. When these vehicles hit the used market, buyers expect a deep discount to offset those ongoing expenses. Consequently, an Armada that costs $65,000 new might only fetch $24,000 just 4 years later. It is a vehicle that is quietly becoming worthless because the world around it has changed, leaving it as a thirsty, expensive dinosaur that very few people want to pay a premium for. Number 2. Land Rover Range Rover. The Land Rover Range Rover is the ultimate status symbol, but in 2026, it is also the ultimate financial disaster. A new Range Rover can easily cost $150,000, yet it is famous for being one of the fastest depreciating assets on four wheels. The depreciation is so severe that these vehicles often lose 70% of their value in just 5 years. This means an owner could lose over $100,000 in equity in half a decade, a figure that is more than the entire cost of most other luxury cars. The reason for this catastrophic loss in value is a legendary lack of reliability. Range Rovers are incredibly complex, and when things go wrong, which they frequently do, the repair bills are astronomical. In 2026, it is not uncommon for a major suspension or engine repair on a 5-year-old Range Rover to cost $15,000. Because the risk of these massive bills is so high, the used market for older Range Rovers is essentially non-existent for anyone who isn't a specialized mechanic. This total collapse in secondary demand makes the vehicle nearly worthless once it reaches its 10th birthday, leaving it as a high-end paperweight for those who didn't get rid of it in time. Number 1. Maserati Grecale. The Maserati Grecale is the newest attempt by the Italian brand to capture the luxury SUV market, but in 2026, it is proving to be a financial black hole. With a price tag starting around $70,000, it positions itself against the best from Germany and Japan, but it lacks the reliability and resale infrastructure to compete. Maserati has a historical reputation for catastrophic depreciation, and the Grecale is continuing that trend. Within the first year of ownership, it is common to see these vehicles lose 30% of their value, as the market is wary of the brand's long-term viability and the high cost of maintenance. Reliability remains a major concern for the 2026 Grecale, as owners report frequent electronic glitches and difficulty sourcing parts. When a vehicle requires specialized service that can only be found at a handful of dealerships across the country, its value to the average consumer plummet. In 2026, a used Grecale is a hard pass for most buyers, leading to a situation where sellers have to drop their prices to almost unbelievable levels just to find a buyer. This makes the Grecale a vehicle that is quietly becoming worthless, as its beautiful design and soulful exhaust note are simply not enough to overcome the terrifying reality of its plummeting financial value and high cost of upkeep. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.